And joining us to talk about Mr. Larry Hoover is his longtime friend, James Prince, founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, and Justin A. Moore, his attorney. So, Justin, we have seen the video of you trying to get in to see Mr. Hoover as his legal representation, and you were not allowed in by the security guards at the federal prison. What reason did they give you for denying you entry to see your client?
I'm still trying to figure that out now, Isaiah. The reason that they did give me, I don't think it was sufficient. They said it was an internal issue that they didn't resolve before I arrived at the prison that day. But they had more than
what does
enough.
that mean exactly?
We're still trying to figure that out. That may be something that we have to litigate going forward. But as of right now, it doesn't mean much. It didn't provide me with a lot of insight as to why I wasn't provided access into the prison. So as of right now, I think we all have the same questions that you're asking, Isaiah. Why was I not allowed to see Larry Hoover that day?
Also, the question, why hasn't he been allowed to see a doctor or the medical professionals he need behind bars at 70 years old, Justin?
That's another question we're trying to get an answer to. As of right now, they haven't provided us any answers to that. Even to Larry, they keep on telling him that it's going to happen, but it never happens. He put out these requests months ago, and these are requests that they need to take seriously because the issues that he's dealing with are very important issues that he should have seen a doctor for almost immediately when he put the request in. But nevertheless, he's 4 or 5 months in the wind here, and he still hasn't seen a doctor, and he still hasn't been provided any reasons as to why he hasn't seen one yet. So to your point, Isaiah, I mean, the questions that you're asking are questions that we still have. These are questions that I was attempting to get answers to on Sunday when I attempted to visit Mr. Hoover. But as you guys know, I was denied that opportunity to do so. And we see that it was very important and it was imperative for me to have that meeting with him because we have questions that need answers. And, we still have these questions being outstanding at the moment.
Mr. Prince, you are one of many celebrities out there demanding that Mr. Hoover receives access to medical care and his attorney. Why is this so important to you? Obviously, you two have been longtime friends, but why is it so important that so many celebrities come forward and say, allow this man to see a doctor and to talk with his attorney?
Well, first of all, that's my brother and friend. And, anybody with a voice, I feel when shouldn't want to sit back and watch a man be murdered because, I call it what it is at the rawest form. You know what I mean? In two ways, a man is in your system that needs help and you just purposely denying him possibly life, change in a life. Your life is at risk, your health is at risk, and you just ignore that, then, I view that as trying to murder the man. And also I witnessed this over my lifetime where, the system, meaning the federal system, the state system, the penitentiary system, whatever name you want to give it, they have a method of doing this far beyond just our brother Larry Hoover. And if people with voices such as me and many others that's supporting him don't take a stand, then the same situation will be at our doorstep with our loved one, with our family member. So, I live for these opportunities to stand up for the shut-in.
Justin, he is looking at, was given a 200-year sentence, but under the Obama administration, he would have qualified potentially for early release. What happened in that situation?
Right. So under the Obama administration, they promulgated the Fair Sentencing Act, which evened out the crack cocaine disparity in regards to federal sentencing standards. Under the Trump administration, President Trump promulgated the First Step Act, which made the Fair Sentencing Act retroactive. What does that mean? It gives guys like Larry, who were convicted in the 90s, immediately after the Biden-Clinton crime bill, it gives people like Larry the opportunity to take advantage of the Fair Sentencing Act. We've litigated this case in the federal Chicago courtroom. The judge there, for all intents and purposes, has stated that Larry is eligible for relief, but yet the politics of the matter has still position Larry in this current position that he's in which he's still waiting out this ruling from this judge to determine if he's going to be sent back to Chicago. And based on the issue that we had this past Sunday, and based on what Mr. Prince is saying when he's saying that he believes that the prison and the federal system might be trying to kill Larry Hoover, we think that this is a political move because, as I just stated, he is eligible for release. But it seems as if that the prison might be trying to constructively kill him before they have to release him. Because we understand the political implications. If someone like Larry Hoover is released from prison under this new law that was promulgated in 2018 by the Trump administration, that means a host of Black folks get the opportunity to leave prison. This could be a mass exodus of folks who are wrongfully in prison right now if Larry Hoover is released. But we believe that the federal government might be trying to prevent this from happening by stalling Mr. Hoover's access to medical care and, in essence, killing him before he gets the opportunity to be released.
We're going to take a quick break here and come back and talk with you both here on this case involving Larry Hoover, who was sentenced to 200 years behind bars for drugs, murder, and figure out why he has not been able to allow to see his attorney as well as the medical treatment that he needs. We'll be back with more Factor Uncensored in just a moment. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We're talking about Larry Hoover, who has been sentenced to 6 life sentences in federal prison. Joining us now to talk about him not receiving the medical treatment he needs behind bars and not being allowed access to his attorney is his attorney, Justin A. Moore, and his longtime friend, James Prince, the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records. So first of all, Mr. Prince, for those who look at this interview segment and say, this was a bad guy, Larry Hoover was a bad guy, why should we care? Why should we allow him out of prison? Your thoughts, Mr. Prince?
Yeah, well, I was a bad guy before, you know what I mean? So many that's in a lot of places were considered bad guys. You know, a bad guy today is a human being that made a mistake. You know what I mean? And I don't know one that live on this planet Earth that hadn't made some type of mistake. You know, a lot of them covered it up and get away with it. But, you know, it's some things I know for sure. And there's some things that are facts. And, you know, I wouldn't be standing for this brother if he hadn't, you know, done things that changed my life and helped me become who I am today. So we're dealing with a brother, you know, like him and so many others, political prisoners that could really be an asset to, you know, our generation and generations to come if they're given, you know, a chance. And as Mr. Justin say, he qualified. You know, it's been people that's on his case, probably 3 or 4 that was charged on his exact case that has been released that qualified. So, you know, this is real political, this is racism, and, you know, it's a lot of Ku Klux Klan members that still work in the system that has a different agenda.
Justin, when you hear him say this is political, is that part of the problem that Larry Hoover is so well known, so notorious in this country? He's a political hot potato, and if he's allowed out of prison, then it looks bad on the federal government.
Honestly, that should be inconsequential. That's irrelevant. You know, he is a man, he is a citizen. He should be provided every opportunity to rehabilitate himself, which he has in great fashion. So to ascribe these other notions of what he may be or what he may not be, it's completely unfair. It's actually unconstitutional. Larry has rehabilitated himself. Larry has shown that he's gone through the great lengths to remake who he is as a man. He's one of the greatest men I know, and he's a client, and I consider him a friend. And it would be a shame if he doesn't get the opportunity to show his rehabilitative efforts to the entire world. I mean, it seems as if the federal government wants to continue to cast this narrative against this one single lone man who is older for whatever reason we don't know. I mean, everything seems to be cast in the shadows. But what we do know, and for the folks who have the opportunity to know Larry, is that he's turned his life around, and he's turned the lives of others around as well. And you can see that when you go to the south side of Chicago. You can see that in Houston with James Prince. You can even see that in my life. And, you know, for the government to continue to sow this narrative, I think it's very disgusting, and it's modern racism. I mean, Black folks should have the opportunity to rehabilitate themselves.
In the last 30 seconds that we have here, Mr. Prince, are you in fear that your friend could die behind bars?
Yeah, that's a real concern of mine. You know what I mean? Because I see the writing on the wall. You know, I see him needing this assistance for medical care, and I see it being ignored. So I see the conspiracy that's taking place to try and take his very life.
We want to thank you both, and we'll continue to follow this, and hopefully we'll hear from the federal government at some point with a response on this case. Justin, Mr. Prince, thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.
All good.
Thank you.
And